Afternoon. Sun's come out a little bit, so taking advantage, having a bit of a hike. Nice quiet place, my favourite spot. So today I want to talk about symptoms that you'll get with anxiety. Most of you, if anybody's watching this, will attest to it. My long journey with anxiety threw up so many different symptoms and sensations to the point where you think you're actually losing your mind. So here's a list of a couple of things that I experienced. So the most common is headaches and dizziness. The headache was constant. I must have had a headache every day for 6 months, and I would stand up, start to lose my balance. It was awful. Vision problems. You get hazy vision, you can't see properly, your vision starts to go out of focus. Jaw will ache. That's usually from clenching your jaw. You don't realise that you're doing it. Stiff neck. Started getting tense in my neck, so every time I turn my head, my neck would crack constantly. Heart palpitations and chest pain, big one. The first time that happened came out of nowhere. I was actually out shopping with my wife. I was in the middle of a supermarket. Started getting sudden chest pains, really intense pain going down my left arm. I actually thought I was having a heart attack. Horrible experience. I've had that quite a few times. Stomach issues is usually a big one with everyone. Your stomach's just constantly churning. You're feeling sick, nauseous all the time. It's just bubbling constantly, day and night. Bit of a disgusting one. Diarrhea comes hand in hand with the upset stomach. You will probably go one way or another, where you will either try not to eat anything because you just don't feel hungry, or you'll go the other way. So you'll either lose a lot of weight like I did, or some people just eat for comfort and end up putting a lot of weight on. So there's no sense in that one. It's really strange. Tingling down your hands, your arms and your feet. Numbness. Again, you think you're having a stroke or something like that. I think one of the worst ones that I developed, though, and it seems strange now, but I actually developed tinnitus or tinnitus, wherever you're from, in my right ear, and hyperacusis in my left ear. So my right ear was constantly ringing, and my left ear was so sensitive to sound that it was just constantly aching, like grinding in my ear. So I had it on both ways, so I couldn't really escape from one another. So I'll talk into another video about how I helped to overcome my tinnitus. It was a really big one. It was really scary. You panic. You will also probably experience night sweats or sweating for no reason. You feel that your head's pounding or just throbbing sometimes. You think it's your blood pressure. So the problem with all these symptoms that come up, and these are just a few of many that I had. I'll probably do a video one day and list off everything that I experienced over a couple of year period. The thing is, when you start getting these sensations, that it'll eventually manifest itself into what they now call health anxiety, or hypochondria, as they used to call it back in the day. This is where you instantly catastrophize that any sensation is worst case scenario. And one of the biggest culprits for that is Googling symptoms is always going to throw the worst thing. That was one of the hardest things I ever had to do, was give up Googling symptoms. But I was at the doctors every week. I had so many blood tests, and you get reassured and everything's fine. Your blood pressure is a little bit elevated, but you know, that's understandable. All your vitamins, your iron, everything's fine. You'll be reassured for a couple of days. Oh, thank God for that. You know, and you'll feel all right for a day or two, and then your body is very, very clever. Will throw up a different sensation. You'll get something new, and you start to ruminate on it, and you start to catastrophize, and that's how it goes in a cycle. And the more you feed into it, the more and more it goes on. And this went on for 2 years with me. Drove everybody nuts around me, my family, my wife, my kids. Obviously used to get upset about it because I wasn't the same strong, confident person that I always were. So what's the point in this video? Well, one of them is to let you know that you're not going crazy. You are actually experiencing these symptoms, but the reason you're experiencing the symptoms is that your nervous system is so on edge, it's so fraught that every single sensation in your body is amplified, and you will feel it. And you convince yourself that you're in danger, so you're telling your body you're in danger all the time. And it's constant releasing adrenaline into your system, and you're always on edge. And that's how it feeds into itself constantly. It makes it worse, so you're going round and round and round, and you're just chasing the dragon all the time. So what you want to do is you want to talk about it, and you think, if I can get it off my chest, I'm not going crazy, someone can tell me, it's normal. And yes, you'll talk to people, family members, or maybe even friends, and they'll tell you, you're not going crazy. You'll feel better for a short while, but your body is very clever and adaptive, and it will just throw up something new, completely out of the blue, that you'd never even expected. There were days when I used to think, well, I've had every single thing, there's nothing else that my body can throw at me, and then it would just come up with some complete random thing. I was like, oh, bloody hell, start again, go through the cycle again. So again, you'll talk to people and you'll feel better for a bit, but eventually you'll find that people will start to distance themselves from you, and it's not their fault. It's just that from their perspective, they've heard it all before. They've seen you go around and round in circles. It becomes frustrating for them. So they start treating you maybe a little bit different, or they're a bit short with you. You may end up in arguments like we did with my wife. So, you're not alone. You're not going crazy, but you have to take some steps. In the early days, I would just try to convince myself it's just anxiety. But I was still doing all the bad habits, Googling, getting reassurance from people all the time, things like that. So, my advice from someone who's been through it, is still going through it. Sometimes it takes a long time. I'm in recovery. First off, stop Googling. It'd be the best thing that you do to start. Take that first little baby step. Get rid of Google. You've been to the doctors, you've had all your reassurances, there's nothing wrong, you've got no cancer or brain tumour, or you're not going to have a stroke or a heart attack. They've reassured you. Take that one step from there and say, right, I'm not Googling anymore. I'm going to delete that. So after you've took the first baby step, you just take another step. It may seem silly, I'm just taking little steps, but all these little steps will all add up into a big thing. So the second thing I would advise is when you're having a bit of an anxiety attack, or you're ruminating, you can't get this cycle out of your head constantly going round and round, just learn to breathe. Now, there's a good technique that I've learnt. It's what special forces use when they're in high stress situations. We call it box breathing. So you try and think of a box in your mind, like a square. So you'll breathe in through your nose and count 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you'll hold your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you'll breathe out through your mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you'll not breathe in, count to 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And you're back at the beginning of the square. Then breathe again. Go round and round in circles like that. It's a really, really effective technique. Like I said, special forces use it. When in high stress situations and they're needing to calm down, they're going on a mission. There's a hell of a lot of YouTube videos out there that will go into more detail than I can, rudimentary for us, but it does work. So they're first 2 steps to take. Stop Googling, learn to breathe. So they're the first 2 steps that I'd recommend to take. Like I say, I'm no professional YouTuber or vlogger, so this video may seem a bit all over the place, but that's just the type of person. It's just my thoughts and I'm expressing them out there, and I'll be honest with you, it actually helps me as well. So start those 2 steps, and I'm going to release some more videos on different things, you know, like how I dealt with tinnitus, eye problems, you know, stiff neck and cracking joints, all the panicking, how to get out of this rumination and things like that. Tips and tricks that I used. I'm sure there'll be many of you out there who've experienced some things that I've never experienced as well. So just remember, you're not alone. They do call it a mental condition, but I don't like to call it a mental condition. I just like to call it's a physical condition. When people imply mental condition, that it's something just your brain, but it's not. It's your entire body that's involved in it. It's a very hard thing to articulate sometimes. So, like I said, this is just me, my thoughts, and if you want to hear more, subscribe, watch some of my other videos on different things that I do, and future videos on how I dealt with certain symptoms and sensations and tips and tricks that I do. This is not my full-time job. I have a full-time job. That's my wife's carer. I'm not trying to sell you anything, I'm not promoting anything, so hope you enjoy this little video. I'll see you soon. Bye.